Welcome aboard the Art Express for a tour of the art world. I'm Paul Larson, and in Plattsburgh, Les Cosgrove may serve your morning drink at the Coffee Cat, but her paintings are far from perky. That's all ahead on Art Express. Deadly sins, vampire women, and dangerous dogs. People in the North Country have come to expect sinister subject matter in the paintings of Les Cosgrove, but not many people know why her work avoids things that are cheerful. As the artist gears up for a show in Lake Placid, we're about to find out more on the subject of Les. At first glance, this looks like a happy picture, but it is a Les Cosgrove.
This painting is called The Adventure. I grew up on a farm. I had horses, and I used to do a lot of bareback riding. It was a lot of fun, and it was exciting.
The piece wouldn't be an authentic Cosgrove without Les's signature in the corner, or danger threatening to disrupt the scene.
The dog nipping at its heels is another way of showing how it's exciting but dangerous.
The artist's mother says her daughter knows about danger.
We had an old Shetland horse that all the kids used to try and ride, and she was one of the ones that stuck with it, you know. And one day she was galloping down the road with him, and he stopped dead in the road, and she went right over the top of him and got all skinned up and all kinds of bruises. But she got right back on. She's tough.
During her childhood, when most kids would draw a sunny sky, Cosgrove would draw a moonlit night. Now the 34-year-old artist still prefers dimly lit subjects.
A lot of my paintings have that sort of dark, mystical feeling to them, I think.
She calls this painting Autumn. It's about the fall of relationships.
The mother figure is trying to protect her child from being torn away or hurt by the male figure.
Cosgrove was not raised in an abusive home, but she did see a lot of kids torn from her family. Cosgrove and her two siblings grew up in this Earlville farmhouse with foster brothers. Lots of them.
We would get attached to them, and often it would be time for them to go back to their own homes because it's usually their parents had to be either counseled or they had to get whatever problems they had settled, and then the kids could go back to their regular homes. So it was a constant coming and going of children. This is a really actually good representation of that because of the families being torn apart.
Cosgrove's parents took in about 20 foster sons during her childhood. In one case, this confused the young Cosgrove about who her blood siblings were.
I had a foster brother who I didn't realize was not my real brother until I was 14, because he had always been there, and it just never occurred to me to ask.
And when she found out, she was just brokenhearted. You know, it's like, he's not my real brother, you know? But that's how close they were with some of the foster children that lived with us.
Eventually, that foster brother left the Cosgroves forever.
It's weird. It's really weird. Yeah, so there's a lot of getting attached to people and then having them just disappear. That's how I was brought up. I like the side of life that we don't really know much about. I like to try to express that in a painting. I try to capture a feeling, whether it be fear or suspense or love, anything like that. It's just, I want it to have a feeling to it. I want somebody to look at it and feel something. I think it might have something to do with seeing a lot of tension, having a lot of tension in the family, knowing what it's like to try to get by on a weekly basis. Plus, there was a lot of sickness in my family, so I think that all has something to do with what I paint. This painting is called Family. They're wearing necklaces, but they're more like chains. and it just symbolizes how you can't escape your parents or your family or your relatives. For better or worse, they're there. Lots of different feelings, love and hate in your family, but you're still connected to them despite it all. Most of my paintings are about people and their emotions. I have a brother and a sister, and as I said, a lot of foster brothers, and most of them are out of my life for good, so I had a lot of influence that would come in and then leave. It was difficult having a stranger brought into your house as a child and not knowing where they're coming from or why they're there. And there's a lot of mystery and fear in the expressions of my paintings and the faces, and that might have something to do with that. It's all in the eyes for me. It says everything. There was a lot of family tension between running the farm and being a foster sister. I had kids who were trying to hurt themselves or hurt the animals or would get into fights at school, sort of that sort of thing. By association, we had problems with kids at school too. And I would sort of lose myself in this old house, which was at the end of our road, and it was abandoned. And I would pick up bricks and just draw in it and write scary notes on the walls. My love of horror and adventure definitely gets into my paintings.
Among the grimmest subjects Cosgrove ever painted: lust, anger, pride, envy, greed, gluttony, sloth, also known as the 7 deadly sins.
It's sort of creepy, and at the same time they're sort of attractive, which is of course what a sin is all about.
Pride and envy also play a role in Cosgrove's paintings about women and beauty.
Head Over Heels is showing the body of a woman. She's holding a head. She's ripped her own head off, basically. She's done so because she's past her prime. She's older, and she feels like her use on the earth is over because she's aged, and I think that's totally depressing. We are programmed to always feel insecure about our looks. It can end up with us doing something drastic to ourselves, like Botox or plastic surgery.
Cosgrove says she admires strong women, even strong enough to inspire fright.
She's a vampire, and she's out on the town. She has bloody footprints, which means she's already killed once. And her next victim is in the shadows. She knows what she wants, and she's going for it.
Cosgrove calls the strongest female role of all motherhood.
More to Give is a painting which shows a cesarean section. When a mother is giving her blood and her tissue, there's always something else that she has to be giving, and it's her entire life of raising a child.
Cosgrove got the inspiration for More to Give from her own mother. Mrs. Cosgrove no longer takes care of foster children. Now she's looking after adults. The Cosgroves run a home for senior citizens who need special care.
I like taking care of people.
A frequent visitor to the Cosgrove home is Rod Downer. He lived with the family for 7 years as a foster son.
It's pretty obvious that with love and attention, anybody can turn around or have hope in their life. And that was really obvious in my home situation.
Downer says the Cosgrove household helped him become a well-adjusted person, but he can see how it also may have presented challenges for his foster sister.
I don't know, I think that's probably why you see a lot of her paintings the way that they are, is because a lot of stuff was like in the shadows with so many kids coming and going. You never really get to know them that well.
Cosgrove says even though her paintings are dark, she is looking at the bright side of life.
I try to take all of my experiences and create a painting that is beautiful, but in a sort of scary way. Not necessarily scary, but just sort of makes you tingle a little bit. It's just a lot of feeling and emotion that has to come out. And like everybody else in the world, I have good and bad feelings, and they both come out in every painting that I do.
You can see a variety of Les Cosgrove's paintings at her Works of Imagination show from February 7th until March 13th. It's in the North Gallery of Lake Placid Center for the Arts. Next, I'm Paul Larson. Good night.